Good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am Terry Kay of the Jewish Grandparents Network. Tonight, we have what we expect to be a wonderful session called Grandparenting from Your Heart, Building Stronger Bonds Through Emotional Intelligence and Wellbeing. We are so grateful that you made the time to join us tonight. Before I introduce our presenter, I want to say thank you to Sarah Reed, our JGN colleague, who helps us facilitate at all our online gatherings. Sarah will share with us in chat how to turn on captions for those of you who wish to use that feature. I also want to let you know that we are recording tonight's session. If you need to drop off early, that's totally fine, of course, and we will send you tomorrow the recording. And as well as some follow-up materials. We just a word in your ear. If you don't see our follow-up email tomorrow by around lunchtime, take a look in your spam or your promotions folder, and it's likely to be there. Drag it into your inbox. There is something incredibly powerful about people who see possibility, especially where others might not. Kim Normand Dobrin has dedicated her life to helping others grow, thrive, and step into their potential. For more than 3 decades, she has built organizations, led transformative work, and touched the lives of thousands of children and families across the world. What makes Kim's work so impactful is not just what she's done, but how she helps people see what's possible within themselves. And today she's here to share that with us. Over to you, Kim, with all our thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. And the way that I work is that I love the interaction. And I have to apologize because my logo Zoom flipped it and I didn't want to play with it when I got on, but it actually says Free the Mind code. So, a little bit about myself. I am South African and I moved to Atlanta 10 years ago. Can't believe 10 years has gone so fast, but I'm sure you're all saying the same thing. I have had 35 years in education and human rights, from running Survivors of the Shoah Visual History Institute in South Africa and Zimbabwe, right through to today, where I live here. For me, my heart is really in making the world a better place for children. And because I do children's work, you deal with the adults, right? Because it's all in our hands as adults. And I'm very excited to be with you today because I now can relate because I've got a 23-month-old granddaughter. So now I'm a grandparent too. So this topic is even more important to me. So if you want to say something in chat, if you want to engage, please, I'm not precious. I want to have a conversation with you because hopefully you're going to take stuff away from me, but I want to learn from you as well. So first of all, what I'd love to do is get to know who's on here. So in chat, please can you tell me how old are your grandchildren? And you can give a range. You can go from 6 months to 12 or whatever the case may be. But how old are your grandchildren? 7 and 4. Hi from Miami. Thank you. Oh, 7 months. Delicious. 2, 18 months, 9, 6 and 4. Oh, we've got an amazing range. They all seem to be kind of little though. Oh, we've got one with 19s and a lot older. Okay. Oh, and they live in Atlanta. Thanks, Steve. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Next question I'd love to know is, are your grandchildren close by you, or do you have to really either drive far or get on a plane to get to them? Close by, awesome. And then how far away? So 3 to 4, okay, 6-hour drive, okay, 2 hours. Oh, 5-minute walk, Jennifer. That's amazing. Okay. So we've got this whole Okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. So if you're a 5 minute walk, I'm definitely a little green right now because I'm in Atlanta and my granddaughter lives in Singapore. So not only is it a 24-hour flight to get there, but it is also, thanks, Alice, that's quite a range. That's amazing. But we've got a 12-hour time change. So all of this makes it very different as to how to grandparent. So grandparents often provide something that children really need today because the world is such a different place. So it's grandparents are the steady voice, it's the non-judgmental, it's the love, it's the gift that they give to you as well as you giving to them, right? So let me ask you, what gift do your grandkids give to you? What do they teach you? What are your grandchildren teaching you? If you just think for a minute, what are you learning? Love, without a doubt. Honesty, yes. Unconditional learn. Greek, kindness. Oh, the best antidepressants, totally. Curiosity, I'm with you with that. How to find joy in all things. Happiness, joy, fun, love, places in my heart I never knew existed. Wisdom, awe, seeing the world as a child. Brandy, that's just so we lose that as adults, laughing so much, patience, being present. Yes. So all of this, fun, laughter, unconditional love, all of this is such a gift that we get as the grandparent, as the adults. And there's so much that you are giving to them. Now, if you think back to your grandparents and your relationship with your grandparents, it's so different to how we grandparent today. Why? Because the world's a different place, right? So the world's a different place. So the grandchildren are different. Our kids are different. And therefore, grandparenting has to be different. Agree? Yes? Okay. So, how do we do this? She talks about other children her age and their relationships. My grandson is an expert with video games. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, because the world is so different, we as grandparents, when we were kids, we were raised differently. We have a different point of reference. We have a different way of being. And our relationship with our grandparents was so different. I remember the days, and I'm talking South Africa because I don't really know the American context for this. But growing up, when we wanted to talk to our grandparents, we had to book a call. And you would call the telephone district or whatever, and you say, I'd like to call this number at such and such a time. And then the phone would ring and go, your call is there. And we would talk to our grandparents, right? Now, what do? We pick up a cell phone and we call our children or our grandchildren because it's so different. It's become tech. It's not as an emotional connection as it used to be. So we have to do things differently, right? Very interestingly for me was when my daughter became a parent, I needed to consider what kind of grandparent did I want to be. So the first thing that was very difficult for me is that they live so far away. And I went through almost trauma to say, I don't want to be that kind of grandparent. I want to be right there. So looking back, when you became a grandparent, and even now, it's what kind of grandparent do you want to be? And one of the things I needed to learn was the shift from being a parent to a grandparent. And that was a massive jump for me personally as well, because I had to really learn to trust my daughter's parenting. Okay. She was going to make the calls now, not me. Did anyone else find that a little bit of a shift? That you weren't the first point of reference to make those decisions? You had to really learn to let them make their decisions. And therefore, who are you going to be not only as the parent of your child, but the grandparent. So yes, and to honor, not judge their decisions. That was huge for me, Victoria. Yes. So what do we do about that? The mother of the father is not the first point of reference. Definitely, there is the different relationships. It's my daughter. So I can say things and do things differently. And at the same time, because it's my daughter, she can answer me any way that she wants to. Okay. Whereas a daughter-in-law sometimes doesn't do that because she's minding her P's and Q. But yes, we have to really trust their way of doing things as a parent. So it takes you back into, okay, what does grandparenting mean to you personally? And for me, I wanted to create as close a relationship as I could because that's what I had with my grandparents. They lived in a totally different area. We used to take a train to go and visit them. It was an overnight train. But the time that I spent with them was so special for me that I keep it in my heart always. The food was yummy. I remember with my grandfather, he used to have the special bubble bath, and we used to run these massive bubble baths, and that was so special. So I have really intense memories, even though I lived far away from them. So when you think about how you want to be a grandparent to your grandchildren, what does that look like for you? Because grandparents influence their emotional development in a very different way. And it doesn't matter how far or how close you live, but that emotional connection is very important for a grandchild. Often, grandkids have less pressure from grandchildren. It's more of a safety, whereas parents have a lot of pressure on them to earn a living to raise those grandchildren. You know, I was talking to my daughter today about how hard it is financially in this world to actually raise enough to pay for if your child wants to go, if you want to send your child to go to a private school. Um, Thank you for sharing that. I just stopped to read that. So yes, when you don't have your own grandparents, now you have to find out what kind of grandparent you actually want to be. Grandparents also offer a life perspective and storytelling because you've lived so much more. So your wisdom is there. So although you're not fully in control, your seeds that you are planting are very important. Don't ever underestimate what you are doing with your words, with your actions, because that's what they're going to carry with them forever. And grandparents, what I've noticed, even with my little one who's 23 months, grandparents are like an anchor. They can really anchor the relationship and the safety and security of both the parent and the grandchild. You can really be the stability, which doesn't make it easy for you because you've got to be self-regulated all the time. So it's about that breath that you need to take all the time to center before you act and before you speak. So through the relationships, I want to share a really special story for me. When I was emigrating 10 years ago, my son, who is my partner in Free the Mind Co., and I'll tell you more about what we do, he writes the books and everything that we use as a base for all our work, and it's all emotional intelligence work. But I took him out for lunch before I was flying out. And he was already grown. He was 25 years old. And he got out the car and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, I want you to know I haven't listened to anything you've told me my whole life. He says, aren't you pleased you lived it right? Now, just take a moment and think about that. It was the greatest compliment he could have given me. And even now saying my tears just well up. Why? He was watching me. He didn't care what I said. He was watching and I was role modeling for him. And that's what he was following. So he was saying, thank you. Thank you for not just giving me your words. Thank you for living your life so that I could follow in your footsteps. And what more does a parent want to hear? So, as adults, we are role models of how to handle emotions because they're watching. Both your children are watching because they want to see how you are going to be as a grandparent, and how they respond to challenges is so vital in this world today. They will also watch how you treat others. So when you go to a restaurant or when you go to their school or whatever, they're watching you. So your everyday presence really reaches far more than are you spending every single day with them. We also have so many options of FaceTime, etc. So I've got a few slides to show you and give you some examples and some information. But before we go there, I'd really like to hear from you if you have any questions or comments up to now. If you feel like you'd like to speak, please unmute and let's have a conversation. So you can start any questions, any comments that you'd like. Yes? Okay. So was that someone unmuting?
Yeah, I mean, because I was thinking of it today, I find like I'm much more emotionally involved with my grandchildren than I would have thought. Like if they're happy and I want them to have good things, and if they're sick or something happens that's not so good for them, like I really feel it, almost like your child.
Definitely, Debbie. And I think that that comes from the wisdom and the life journey that we've all had. I feel the same way, and I promise you, pretty much everyone on this call does as well. Because you've learned so much along your journey, that empathy grows within us, and we know what life can hold. So we really feel deeply for this little being that grows into your grandchild. You know, they're very much a part of who you are. As we know, your DNA is in them. You know, we carry the DNA with us. So I want to just start with the slides. Please, I know that slides are on, so you won't see my face, but I'm just going to answer Kitty here. I feel like they ask us questions about the way things were, almost looking for those experiences that they may never have. Kitty, this is going to be one of my points that I'm going to talk about. How old are your grandchildren? If you can just let me know that, because storytelling.
7 and 10.
Sorry?
7 and 10.
7 and 10. Yes. They want to know what your life was like. And so you can pull out the albums and share that with them because they want to get to know who you are. And that is so special in creating that close relationship. So, Sarah, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the slides, please. And even though the slides are coming up, please carry on writing in chat. My granddaughter always wants to hear stories about mistakes. Yes, that's also one of my points. So definitely. Next
Kim,
one,
a
please,
little
Sarah.
in when you next have a moment, Alice has a question that you may be coming to, which is how do we reconcile emotional intelligence with this age of iPhone culture that we seem to
We
compete with?
definitely going to be touching on that, but we can go deeper into that for sure. Next one, please, Sarah. Next slide, Sarah, please. Thank you so much. Okay. So your everyday presence really teaches, and you're going to get these. I've already given them to Terry and Sarah, so don't worry about writing or anything. You're going to get all of this. So your everyday presence really teaches far more than advice, you more than just advice. The fact that you are, that you've lived your life so much, that you've gone through so many experiences is way more than just advice. So this is a tool that I really like. It's the Affirm and Reflect tool. And what does it do? It builds self-worth, it builds resilience and emotional confidence. And the research shows today that kids need two things that they are generally not getting. And that's what we incorporate in all of our work with kids. One is curiosity. Children are not curious like we were or like your children were because of the phones and because of all the tech, because they put it on and they've got everything given to them. So their imagination isn't being developed. So the less time they spend on screens, the healthier for their brain. And the other one is resiliency. Okay, the world is so fast and so much right now. So then what it does is this affirm and reflect tool, you reflect back to them. So reflect back what you are seeing, not giving them advice. You handled that really well. I noticed how kind you were. You didn't give up. That's strong. So what you're doing is you're reflecting to them positivity, not negativity, and you're not telling them how to do something. Okay? So this is a very important one because otherwise you're acting as teacher all the time. You're lecturing all the time. And that pushes away the relationship instead of drawing it. What we want to do is get the kids to talk to us. And the only way you get them to talk to you is by giving them that positive feedback, because then they're going to want to tell you more, right? They want to share with you. So this is, Lisa asks, how do you have an ongoing relationship when you don't see them as much as you would like? We're going to address that. Good mentors affirm and reflect well. So important for grandparents. Yes, Melissa, very important. Because you want to be that place that is not parenting. You want to be that safe space that affirms them, because that's going to build their self-confidence. It's going to tell them, I'm okay. I did a good job. So this is a very important one of actually reflecting and giving them that chance that, gee, I did a good job. Thanks, Sarah. Next one, please. So we talk about emotional intelligence, and quite honestly, really, what is it? You know, it's all very well saying, you're seeing it all over, EQ, emotional intelligence. So I thought I'd do a slide just to go into it a little bit. So there really are 4 pillars. The one is self-awareness, then self-management, empathy, and connection. Okay, so self-awareness is, what am I feeling? So all our work, the most powerful part of us as human beings is your emotional capacity. It's our emotional state. And there's no right or wrong on emotions. We can feel 5 different emotions in one day if you track it. I promise you today, you've gone through the gamut, like all of us, right? So it's really being aware of it. It's the barometer of, where am I right now? So if I have to stop right now and say to you, what emotional state are you in right now? Put it into chat. Tell me, what are you feeling right now? Where are you? What's your self-awareness right now? What am I feeling? Peaceful? Calm? I'm curious? Open-minded? How about some of the edgy stuff like frustrated? Terry, great. Anxious about her internet. Gratitude for having them as grandkids. Yes. Steve, yes. Anxious. In balance with what I'm doing. Beautiful. Okay. So a little worried about being too judgmental. So that's right now, Kitty. Okay. Guilty. So I want to stop at that guilty. Okay. Does anyone know what guilty is? So guilt is, very simply, anger turned inwards. So when you're feeling guilty, ask yourself, why am I angry with myself? And generally you'll go, I'm doing the best I can, right? So guilt is something faced towards yourself. You know, sometimes we do things or we can't because we don't have the capacity, or we don't have the finances. And so we start feeling guilty. And quite honestly, it's a Jewish DNA thing, right? Because we want to do so much more. Frustrated because they're so far away. Sherry, I get that. I so relate to that. worried about the children whose school may close at the end of the year. So there's that constant worry and anxiety. So now, and if you have a look at tomorrow morning when you wake up, ask yourself, what am I feeling now? And so you start normalizing emotions because there's no right or wrong. It's pleasant or unpleasant emotions. And we do a lot of exercises. We teach kids as well as adults how to shift that because it's all biology and you can mind shift. The next one is self-management. Another word for this is self-regulation. So little kids under 5 don't self-regulate. They can't self-regulate themselves. So when parents become unregulated, dysregulated with their kids, it's the worst thing. It's so explosive. It causes chaos. Kids rely on the adult to self-regulate, which is really so important. So this self-regulation and self-management is very important. When something happens with your grandchildren and it hits you in an emotional way, you need to take a step back and take a breath, because by you self-regulating, they will become self-regulated. If you've got time to take a breath, they will self-regulate with you, with that calming. With my granddaughter, I literally hold her against my body and we breathe together. Okay? When they are having a temper tantrum, you cannot talk to them. They're dysregulated. Wait for it to calm, and then you can have a conversation. So that is really, really important. Yes, Randy, please ask your question.
What about self-reflecting back and that how a younger child might not have self-regulation? So my 3-year-old grandson might act out, even if I'm spending time with him and making a puzzle, but his sister's doing something different. He like ran over, pulled a necklace from one of her toys and put it around his neck, and the sister was unhappy. So like if would I reflect and say, I see a little boy who took a necklace from his sister and he made his sister unhappy, just kind of stating what I see, like what kind of self, or I mean, I don't want to say, oh, I don't know. To give me an example of a little.
No, so for instance, in that case, what I would do is say, Tommy, that's your sister's necklace for her baby. We don't take that because she's going to be sad. Please, can you give it back? And please say sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So you also teaching them boundaries because they can't have everything. A perfect example, mine's a year younger, but it's a good age group. We were in New York at Friends, and there was an 8-year-old, our very close friends, and my granddaughter was playing with one of the things that she loves, but she was kind enough to give it to her to play. And her parents said, we're going to give that to Sloan when you leave. And I said to no, she really wants that. And so it's not for us to take things of our friends. So I made her give it back to her and say, thank you for letting me play with your special toy while I was visiting your house. And therefore we both left feeling good. She learned that she can't take everything, it's not hers. And the other little one went, thank you, that's my special toy. So we're teaching them values and morals at the same time. Okay. Okay, Sarah, let's get back onto that slide. Thank you. So the third one that I want to touch on there is, we're just waiting for it to kick in, is empathy. And that's where your example was so perfect. What are they feeling? How are they feeling? The other feeling. When we actually built our online program, which I can tell you about, the teacher said to us, kids today are not reading emotion in other people. So we've got a whole adventure that works on that. So it's very important to teach kids that other people have emotions, because that's how we build relationship, right? So by you saying the little one took away the necklace, you're saying your sister's going to be very sad because that's hers. So now you're introducing someone else's feelings. It's super, super important because if we want to be heard and felt, we've got to be able to do that to others. And the fourth one is connection. What do they need? So what do your grandkids need? What do you need? So like this one is so hard to get kids away from TV without them getting upset. Any advice? They do have limited TV time. That's connection. Connection is not on a TV set. Connection is a human construct. It's a human emotional aspect that is very important. We have to have connection as a human being. That's where our emotions live. That's where our confidence lives. That's where our resiliency lives. That's where our language lives. So connection and positive relationship building is essential. Thank you, Sarah. Next one. So part of this is really important because grandchildren might say things to you that they won't say to the parents. And this creates opportunities to help them name their feelings and understand their feelings. Okay? Practical ways that you can build. I just want to stop in chat, just see what you're writing. So I understand that these questions and feelings are more to be for us when we are the kids without the parents, correct? No, this is general when you are with parents or when you are not with parents. But at the same time, understanding the boundaries of what the parents want from you. And that's a conversation you can have with your kids. Say, this is how I'm looking at it, but I'd really like to know, what would you like from me as the grandparent? Okay. Martha writes, inhibited by parents' reactions, not so much how to grandparent, but how the parents reacts to us. That's your communication with the kids as the parents. And that's a conversation. You say to them, we want to be the best grandparents that we can be. How would you like this to be a process for us? What would you like from us? Have a conversation. Say, we want to be there for you and we want to be true to us so that it's not stepping on their toes either. Okay. So practical ways that grandparents can build EQ. Okay. So this is everyday moments. A very big thing is listening. So to listen is very, very important. Tell me more about your day. Tell me about your experience. What happened next? How did that make you feel? So getting that conversation going is very important. So listening with intention. So if you think of a time recently when you jumped into fix mode and you could have stayed in the listening mode because we all want to fix, right? It's this for me personally is one of my biggest challenges. I am a fixer person. This is what I do. I fix. I change things and I fix things. And now I had to learn. My son, who is my partner and who's super smart, had to say to me, Mom, I don't need you to fix everything. Sometimes I just want you to listen. And so think about a time when you could have just listened instead of trying to fix it. The next thing is storytelling. So storytelling depends on the age. So you can use it for little ones like under 12. Get a book that they love. Take them to a bookstore and use stories to teach them. So, for instance, there's Billy the elephant who got a thorn stuck in his foot. And what did that look like, right? For the older kids, like some of you have said, they want to hear your personal stories, and you can use those to teach. So if they're going through something difficult at school or somewhere else, maybe they're being bullied, maybe you've had an experience, say, you know what, I want to share. This is what happened to me when I was your age or when I was a little older or something. Share your stories. It's very powerful. Grandchildren want to hear your stories. Okay, how to use storytelling to keep my husband's memory and his life lessons alive for my granddaughter who never met him. That is just, Lynn, that is so beautiful. And you can do that so powerfully. First of all, use a picture. So they have an image in their mind. Make a little book, make a little photo book of different examples of him doing different things. And under each picture, tell them what was happening in that picture. Make a book for them that they will hold dear for the rest of time, which is so special. The next one is help children name emotions. Now, this is a very big one. We're seeing this all over. Kids generally don't understand or really can pinpoint what that emotion is. They haven't been taught. So this is an incredibly powerful one where you say, it sounds like you were disappointed. Use language. Use language. Teach them the vocabulary of emotion. Okay? That must have been frustrating for you. Or I see how excited you are. Give them language to use to express themselves. So think of a time when your grandchildren just couldn't put those words to it. How could you have helped? Think about that. How could you have helped them with that? Vocab is especially important. And as they grow up, they need it desperately. In a journal for the older ones, buy them a beautiful book and they can journal their emotions. The last one on this is create meaningful moments. So for me, because I'm 12 hours time difference away, when it's 7 p.m. here for me in Atlanta, it's 7 a.m. for my granddaughter. And my daughter's amazing. I have breakfast with her every single day. And I've got a pile of books like this, and we have storytelling every day at breakfast. And she chooses the puppy book or Paddington or whatever. And I read her stories every single day because I want that connection. And she's so little that what else I'm going to do? Something interesting. My other partner, her son, they text. So it's about meeting the kids where they are. Okay, that can be a text message. It can be a voice message. So there were two grandparents. One saw the kids a lot, got on the floor, was really involved with their lives. The other grandparent was not, lived in a different state in America, but every Monday night, she would have a call with her grandkids, every single Monday night. And even now, she does voice messages for them. So if they can't talk to her, she sends them a voice message and they wait every Monday night to have that little conversation with her. So it's about meeting them where they're at. If you don't get a reply straight away, don't take it personally. This is the world that they live in. They can have 30 text messages that they don't reply to. It's not about you, but reach them where they are. Do the little phone call. Send them a funny little picture or a little cartoon. Send them a picture of what's going on in your world. It's really important to create those special moments, okay? What do you do when you don't get to see the granddaughter very often? Amy, you do what I'm saying. You try and create those special moments that you can do with them. I don't know your situation, so I can't make examples of it, but it's about really creating those. My anxiety skyrockets when I don't get response to text. I get it. I hear you. It can drive you insane. Not only you, probably all of us. And that's the difference, where we come from and where the kids come from. For the kids not to answer a text, it's not a big deal to them. They don't know you're sitting and waiting for it. But what you can do is say, I really get worried when I don't get a text back because I just want to know you're okay because I love you so much. And they will hear you. You're using emotional language and you're telling them what you need. Because this relationship is not just about how you are with them, it's how they are with you. So it's a shared relationship. And that's really important. Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for the next one. There's something else that I also want to do. So this is the listen, don't fix tool that we spoke about. Okay, next one, please, Sarah. Storytelling, so relatable characters, all of that, the emotional naming. You can go on, carry on, Sarah. Next one. Okay, create meaningful moments. What I also love, and you can do this, is that sometimes I take my phone is on a stand and I'll put it in the kitchen and I'll show my granddaughter how I cook dinner. And I'll go, look, I'm making potatoes or I'm making this or that. And she's then part of my world. She's part of my kitchen, right? Another thing that I did is I bought her the same book that I had. So she reads the book at the same time as me. For the older ones, meet them again online. Talk to them and say, here's a cute one that I love, a rose and a thorn, the best and the hardest part of the day. Ask them, what's the rose of your day today? What's the thorn of the day today? Okay? So it's not just, how was your day? They're going to say, fine. What did you do? Nothing much. But if you ask them this, a rose or a thorn, there we go. And a routine text is just thinking about you. Just wanted you to know I love you. So that's really cool. Next one, thank you. Okay, so this is just my contact details. Please feel free at any time to contact us. We've got our organization is called Free the Mind Co. We've got an online program that you can actually do because it's online with your kids wherever they are. It's from 5 to 12 years old. There's a family program that you can do. And we've got amazing books that you can order straight away. On our site, we've actually got 3 that Brent has written, and they're incredible because they teach the language. So the first one is all about Freddie in a magical rainforest. That's Freddie behind me, the picture. It's been done by an animator, illustrator, so they're beautiful. And Freddie meets Mr. Cotton the spider, and he learns how to build his dreams and let go his fear and anxiety. The second one is all about the beehive and how with unity we make honey. So they've all got these beautiful lessons, but done in a magical way. So before I go on, I want to just read this. There are a couple of things in chat here. Inhibited by parents' reaction. Okay, so I see you've got quite a few comments. So Marcia is saying, can you ask them to guide you so that you can feel confident? Yes. I believe in not comparing our childhood, our kids' ones, and focus on the actual moment. Liliana, absolutely. It's not about comparison. Comparison in anything is not a good thing for me. You know, it takes you down a bit of a rabbit hole. So I'm not a big one for comparison. What I do think is it's an awareness. It's an awareness of how you were raised, the world that you were raised in, how your kids were raised, and therefore your grandkids. We didn't have tech when I was growing up. You know, I think we got a TV when I was in my teens. You know, so it's a completely different world. There's immediate gratification going on with kids, you know, especially if parents give them that laptop, give them online all the time. So it's about really engaging them in a fun way. If you live close to them, or you can send them something like art and say to them, you know what, I saw that you love drawing. So I decided to give you a paint box. I'm so excited to see what you're going to paint. What would you love to paint? And then you're not going to judge them. You're going to say, that's amazing. You did such a great job. So meet them again. Where they at? What do they love? Do they love dancing? Do they love music? So we moved here from Argentina with our young adult kids. So we want our grandkids to know about our past. Liliana, it's so important as a South African. But I do say that just the fact that you are from Argentina, it's imbued in who you are. It's probably in your accent. It's probably in your food. Teach them, show them, what did you do as a kid in Argentina? And I really do hope that you're teaching them the language, because that's a gift in itself. So definitely, it's the same as for me. My great-grandparents were from Lithuania. I want our kids to learn about our heritage and what was the ancestry. That's important to me. So just to give you a little bit of thoughts here, when your grandchildren think of you, what would you like to come to mind? How do you want your grandkids to think about you? For me, I want them to think of me as being loving and a safe place, that it doesn't matter what they do, I'm going to just wrap my arms around them. That's what I want my grandkids, that I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there as much as I possibly can. With love, I want them to feel that they can trust me. It's huge. And trust is only built through relationships. And that's why all of this is so important. The conversations, the emotional language, those special moments, meeting them where they are at. I want them to see that I'm proudly Jewish. So then, Deborah, that will be imbued in your home and how you function. That's the role modeling. That's the lighting the candles on a Friday night. That's the challah. That's the chagim. You know, that is what you're going to role model for them. And then I'd like to ask you this question. What is one small thing you can start doing with your grandchild or grandchildren this week that we've been talking about? What is one small thing? It doesn't have to be a big thing. But what do you think and what have you taken from this that you can start implementing? Rose and thorns. Love it. Yay. I love that idea. Yes. Fabulous. So what else? What can you do? How do you address the situation when you see your grandchildren watching too much TV or playing video games, age 2 and 6? This is a difficult one, Nina, because the parents are there. When they're at you, you can put your foot down and then there's no TV and there's no games, okay? Or you can give them a big clock and say, okay, we're going to do this for 30 minutes, right? And therefore you can do that. But that's a parental thing. My daughter is very strict. My granddaughter of nearly 2 has never watched a screen, and she won't until she's 5, because they're going with what's happening to the brain and the developmental thing, but that's her decision as a parent. So it does get a little difficult. That's a little bit of the edge there. Rose and thorns, okay. Same. The ones that live far away practice Christianity. I wish I could bring them more Judaism without offending their mother. You can. Send them. I saw someone put in PJ books, the pajama books. Beautiful. Sign them up. Get them books. Expose them in little ways that you can do it. I don't know, again, the situation, so I can't really delve into that. Sometimes we try to do things with each one separately, following their interests. It helps to, I love that. I do that with my kids, my own children. Okay. I'll go away on a holiday with each one of them or do something with each one of them because I want them, I don't care if they're adults. I want them to know that we can do whatever they want to do at that time. And I'm going to be there and have fun with them or just be with them. Also, they have different love languages. We haven't even got to that. There's so much to talk about. Okay, but love languages is an incredibly powerful thing. My 2 kids have got completely different love languages. My son wants the time. Give me time, Mom. Just sit with me in a room. Just talk to me or just be with me in a room. My daughter wants to run out and do stuff. Okay, and if she's not doing stuff, she's got FOMO. You cannot believe what we did in 4 days in New York. Okay, so spending separate time with grandkids, beautiful, beautiful. You're giving them their special time with you. My grandchildren taught me rose and thorn. Love it. We always start our conversations with that. Okay, beautiful. Instilling some Judaica when the mom isn't the Jewish parent and my son isn't into that much. Okay, so, and it's also a conversation that you can have with them as to how much you can do without causing any issues. So what I really want to reiterate is that grandparents hold a very special part of a grandchild's life. You reinforce, you anchor, you stabilize. So you're not only strengthening your bond, you're also helping them build their confidence, their self-esteem, their empathy, their resiliency. And that's what they're going to carry for the rest of their lives. You know, my grandparents passed when I was in my 20s. I still remember all that. My grandfather was a dentist until he was 81. And I remember that. It's like, yeah, I want to work till I'm 81. That's amazing. Amazing. He had a whole life. That's incredible. You know, so you are role modeling. You're giving them seeds and gifts all the time. All the time. So it's beautiful. Any other questions before we close off? Terry, Sarah, anything?
We have just beautiful comments in chat, and to our friends, you feel free to unmute if you want to talk through anything about your children who live at a distance. We have about 8 or 9 minutes left.
Okay.
Just unmute. Make yourself comfortable.
Terry,
What
you sent me
happens if
some. Yes,
what
sorry, carry
happens
on.
if the parents of the grandchildren, if they feel that you are too old or too incapable, that you're not capable of taking care of the children, and so they don't want you to develop a relationship because the parents themselves have some problems, and they don't like it when one of the grandchildren, like we went to the zoo and he said, I want to look at a drain. And his mother said, we're at the zoo. Now's not the time to look at a drain. And that's not very empathetic of her. But how do you start? I tried all of these things and then we had a big break. So they clearly do not want us to have a relationship with our grandchildren. Is it just something that I have to accept and say, well, that's too bad? Or,
Sarah, my husband always says that books and movies have been written about relationships. That's what it's about. And relationships are not easy. They're complicated, they're multi-layered, they're complex. And that's where communication is so important. And that's why that's why I do the work that I do as well, is to give kids the skills and tools and language around emotions. Because you cannot be fully successful and meet your potential without your emotional understanding. And so when you're dealing with kids that way, the best way to do it is be gentle. They don't want to be criticized. That's going to push them away completely. But to draw them in and say, I want to respect you. I want to be a good grandparent. Help guide me. Tell me what you want. Open it in that way. Be gentle. As grandparents, it's about biting your tongue a lot of the time if you need to. But you want to have that relationship. I've got a friend. She's got a shocking relationship with her daughter. And I've just said to her, those grandchildren will be grown up. Focus on them and not on not on your daughter. And now those kids are 8 years old and 9 years old. And they've got a relationship with her because they talk to her on the phone. She sends them presents on their birthdays. And now she's building the most beautiful relationship with them. And it just brings so much joy. Marcia, I've got the same issue. I've sent him messages and videos on what that does of being present. And I must say he's very open to it. But you've got to find an in as to how he's going to hear you about being present with their kids. Steve, a little bit about myself. I come from a trauma childhood. I went through a really rough childhood journey, and I was in the arts. I was in dancing, acting, all of that. I was at Lee Strasberg in LA on a scholarship. We really didn't have money. Everything was very tough, a lot of loss, a lot of trauma. And then I started, my first thing was Shoah Foundation. I went into Survivors of the Shoah. I walked out of Schindler's List, hysterical. And I thought, I've got to make the world a better place for kids. And I got involved in Holocaust in a very big way. And then one thing, man plans and God laughs. And so we followed God's plan. And Terry, thank you, has put my full bio up there. And it just built one thing after another. And I drew a lot from my own life and all my skills and tools working internationally, especially with kids. And my son, who's remarkable, we then started building out Free the Mind Co. and all the kids programs and family programs and all the books. And I'm loving it. We're working internationally. We're working in India. We've just translated into Ukrainian and we're working with the Ukrainian kids there. We've just done a massive impact study. It's remarkable what's happened to these kids in a war zone, their emotions, how more stable they are, how they're expressing themselves. They're less anxious. And we're busy in Israel. We're translating into Hebrew right now. We're starting to launch that. And so, yes, I love this work, and I'm so excited that Terry invited me to be on here with you. It's very beautiful.
Kim, thank you for
I
bringing your
hope
personal.
I hope you took something away from this. This is such a huge, huge subject that I needed to hone in and hopefully give you skills and tools that you would find valuable. Please reach out if you'd like to know anything more about what we're doing or get involved. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with me. I really
Kim,
do
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing us your expertise and your loving and warm touch. Uh, to all our friends, thank you so much for joining us. You'll see a survey a very short survey that Sarah has put in chat that we would love to get your feedback. It's very quick and it really helps us improve our programming. Tomorrow you will again receive a follow-up email from us with the recording and Kim's bio, her slides, and another handout to do with emotional intelligence and well-being tools, and how to contact Kim tomorrow. To all of you, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate that you gave us your time. Kim, thank you again. It's been a great pleasure working with you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.